January 13, 2026. A date that will be remembered not just in legal circles, but by anyone who has ever used a ride-hailing app or trusted a stranger to get them home. In Phoenix, Arizona, Uber faces its first-ever trial over a sexual assault allegation. The courtroom is tense, filled with lawyers, journalists, and people whose lives have been touched by ride-hailing, some as riders, some as drivers, all as members of a society grappling with new questions about safety and responsibility. This isn't just a local legal battle, it's a moment that could reshape the entire ride-hailing industry. The outcome here could ripple through every city where people tap a button and expect a safe ride. Every time we use these apps, we trust companies like Uber with our safety. We trust that the person behind the wheel has been vetted, that the company has our back, and that technology will keep us safe from harm. This trial asks, what happens when that trust is shattered? What does justice look like when technology and human lives intersect in such personal, vulnerable ways? Regulators, riders, and companies worldwide are watching, because the outcome could redefine what safety means in our connected world. Governments are considering new rules, and companies are re-examining their policies, knowing that the eyes of the world are on this courtroom. Over 3,000 similar lawsuits are waiting in the wings. Each one represents a story, a person, a moment when trust was broken and answers were demanded. This case is the first domino. What happens here could set off a chain reaction, influencing not just Uber, but every company that connects strangers through technology. The verdict here will set a precedent, potentially changing how all future cases are handled and how these companies operate. It could mean new safety features, stricter background checks, or even a fundamental shift in how we think about accountability in the digital age. It's about accountability on a scale we've never seen. The people in this courtroom represent millions outside its walls, all waiting to see if justice can keep pace with technology. As jury selection begins, remember, this is more than a headline. It's a test of our values, our systems, and our willingness to demand better from the companies we rely on every day. It's about the promise that you'll get home safe, that your loved ones can trust a ride-hailing app to bring you back to them, no matter the hour. The trial puts that promise on the stand. It asks whether technology companies can truly guarantee the safety they advertise, and what happens when they fall short. The verdict will echo far beyond Arizona, touching millions who rely on these services every day. It will shape the future of ride-hailing, and perhaps, the future of trust itself. The stakes? Nothing less than the future of trust in the digital age. As this trial unfolds, we're all part of the story, because the outcome will help decide how safe we feel in a world where technology is always just a tap away. At the heart of this trial is Jaylynn Dean, a name that has come to symbolize both resilience and the urgent need for change in the world of ride-hailing safety. Her journey is not just a legal battle, but a deeply personal quest for justice that has resonated with people across the country. Jaylynn is a young woman whose courage has sparked a movement, inspiring others to speak out about their own experiences and demand accountability from powerful corporations. Her determination in the face of adversity has made her a beacon of hope for many. In 2023, while visiting Tempe, Arizona, Jaylynn did what millions do every day. She used Uber, trusting that the ride would be safe and uneventful. Like so many others, she relied on the promise of convenience and security that ride-hailing apps offer. But instead of a routine trip, Jaylynn alleges that her driver assaulted her, shattering her sense of safety and trust. The incident left her not only physically shaken, but emotionally scarred, forcing her to confront a reality that no passenger should ever have to face. In that single harrowing moment, Jaylynn's life changed forever. The trauma she endured would stay with her, affecting her relationships, her confidence, and her daily life. But rather than remain silent, she chose to take action. Just a month after the incident, Jaylynn made the difficult decision to file a lawsuit, not only against her alleged attacker, but also against Uber itself. She wanted to challenge the systems that she believes failed to protect her and so many others. In her lawsuit, Jaylynn claims that Uber was aware of the risks its passengers faced, yet did not do enough to prevent harm. She argues that the company's policies and practices left riders vulnerable, and that real change is needed to ensure safety for all. Jaylynn's case is about more than just her own experience. It's about holding a global company accountable for the safety of millions of people who use ride-hailing services every day, in cities and towns around the world. Her story shines a light on the vulnerability we all face when we step into a ride-hailing car, often late at night or in unfamiliar places, trusting that we'll reach our destination safely. By coming forward, Jaylynn has given a voice to thousands who have suffered in silence, empowering survivors to share their stories and demand better protections. Her bravery has united a community of advocates, survivors, and supporters. Jaylynn's fight is for every rider, every parent who worries about their loved ones, and for a future where safety is never sacrificed for the sake of convenience or profit. Her courage is the spark igniting this landmark case, and her determination may well change the way ride-hailing companies protect their passengers for generations to come. Jaylynn's lawsuit goes beyond blaming a single driver. It targets Uber's entire system. Her legal team argues Uber was negligent, ignoring a known pattern of assaults by drivers. They claim Uber prioritized growth over safety, with inadequate background checks and weak emergency protocols. The lawsuit says Uber had the technology to do more, but chose not to. This case is about corporate responsibility. Did Uber create a system that put millions at risk? The court must decide if Uber's business model contributed to what happened to Jaylynn Dean. Uber's defense is clear. It shouldn't be held responsible for the criminal acts of independent drivers. The company says it's a tech platform, not a traditional employer, and points to its safety features, background checks, trip sharing, emergency buttons. Uber argues it's done what's reasonable, and that the driver alone is responsible for the crime. The jury must decide, is Uber just a connector, or does it have a deeper duty of care to its riders? The answer could redefine corporate responsibility in the gig economy. Central to Uber's defense is its classification of drivers as independent contractors, not employees. This distinction limits Uber's legal responsibility for drivers' actions. Plaintiffs argue it's a convenient label. Uber controls fares, routes, and driver status, so drivers are employees in all but name. If the jury agrees, Uber's main defense could collapse. This debate isn't just about job titles. It's about who is truly responsible when something goes wrong. The outcome could force Uber to change how it treats drivers and how it protects riders. Where the buck stops is at the heart of this trial. This is a bellwether trial, the first of over 3,000 similar lawsuits against Uber. The verdict will set the tone for all the cases that follow. If Uber is found liable, it could face massive settlements and be forced to overhaul its business model. If Uber wins, it strengthens its position and weakens future claims. Investors, competitors, and regulators are watching closely. The financial and moral stakes are enormous. This trial is about more than money. It's a public judgment on Uber's commitment to safety. The outcome will shape the future of ride-hailing everywhere. The safety crisis isn't just American, it's global. In Egypt, a driver disabled tracking to commit assault, exposing flaws in safety tech. In Kenya, public outcry forced stricter regulations after repeated incidents. Governments worldwide are stepping in, demanding more from ride-hailing companies. The Arizona trial is part of a worldwide reckoning. The verdict will influence how countries everywhere approach rider safety. Under pressure, companies like Uber have rolled out new safety features, panic buttons, ride verification, and real-time monitoring. Some apps now require PINs or use tech to ensure you're getting in the right car. Features like ride check flag unusual trip activity, prompting check-ins. In some regions, riders can request female drivers. Critics say these are just surface fixes. Real change requires deeper accountability and continuous background checks. Until then, these features are bandages on a deeper wound. The industry's response is evolving, but is it enough? The jury's verdict in this landmark case will not only determine the fate of one company, but will also shape the future of ride-hailing as a whole, and perhaps most importantly, our collective trust in these services. The eyes of the world are on this courtroom, waiting to see what kind of precedent will be set for the entire industry. If Uber is found liable, the entire ride-hailing industry may be forced to fundamentally change. Companies could be required to treat drivers as employees, not just independent contractors, and invest far more in safety measures, background checks, and training. This could mean stricter regulations, more oversight, and a new era of accountability for every ride. Rides could become more expensive as companies pass on the costs of these changes to passengers. But with higher prices may come greater peace of mind, safer vehicles, better trained drivers, and more robust protections for everyone who steps into a rideshare car. On the other hand, if Uber wins, the current business model will continue. The responsibility for safety and accountability will remain largely with individual drivers, and the convenience and affordability that have defined ride-sharing so far will likely persist. No matter the outcome, this trial has already changed the conversation. It sparked debates among legal experts, policymakers, and everyday riders about what we expect from these services and how much risk we're willing to accept for the sake of convenience. It's forced us all to confront the hidden risks that come with the ease of tapping a button for a ride. We're now asking tougher questions about who is responsible when things go wrong, and what real safety should look like in the gig economy. The verdict will be a landmark moment, setting a new standard for the industry. But beyond the legal outcome, the real lesson is clear. Safety must always come first, above profits or convenience. Because behind every ride is a human life, and the trust we place in these services is truly priceless. The future of ride-hailing will depend on how well we honor that trust, and how seriously we take the responsibility to protect one another.